Welcome back to Buy It Once, the series where I tell you how to grow a plant from seed to harvesting that seed so that you only ever have to buy it once. Today we're going to be talking about a lot of people's favorite herb, basil. This is a pretty raggedy looking plant, but it'll make a good example. You can see this one's flowering out, and we're going to get to that in a second. So, basil is a plant that's grown for its delicious to eat leaves, and most people are going to want to keep their basil from bolting. So in order to keep your basil from bolting, you're going to want to keep it from getting stressed out. Stress is going to be one of the main things that causes it to flower. But if you can keep it from getting stressed out, it'll stay leafing. So what causes stress? Well, dehydration and too much sunlight are things that I've noticed stress out basil plants pretty good. And occasionally they just flower and you just gotta cull that plant or let it flower out and you can harvest the seeds. If it's flowering but it's in the right conditions and it's been leafing pretty good, you can take it and pinch the seed back above where it's leafing and it'll re-leaf and bush out from that spot, and you might get a few more harvests of leaves off that basil. So once it does start to get stressed out or live its life out and it's time for it to flower, you have two choices. You could either cull that plant or you could let it flower so that you could harvest those little seeds so that you only have to buy it once. So I'm going to give you an example over here of a healthier little bushel of basil that is just starting to flower. So you can see the flowers coming in right there. This is an opportunity for me to just pinch that back if I don't want it to flower. I think I am going to let this bush go ahead and flower out though, because it's not looking as healthy as it was. The seasons are changing and I've harvested several times off this. So I'm going to go ahead and let that one go to flower so that I can get the seeds from it. Now back to this scraggly looking plant. So there's clearly nothing good left to harvest off this. I'm just letting it go to seed. You can see I actually pick some of the seeds off that, and I'm going to show you some of the dried seeds when it's actually a great time to harvest these. So when it's green like this, it's still a little bit too fresh. Your seeds might not be developed yet. You might be able to break open one of these little pods and see some little green seeds in there. But you want to wait until it's nice and kind of like more on the brown side. You can see this one's starting to get there, but I got some in a little cup right here. So these have little tiny black seeds in them. Let me see if I could separate them out a little bit. There you can see some of the black seeds, the little basil seeds. So they can get really stuck in these little things. So something I like to do is actually put them in a food processor once they're dry. I'll put them in a dehydrator at a low temperature for a little while to make sure they're nice and dry and they separate easily. And then I will go ahead and put them in that food processor. After that, it's easier for me to sift out the seeds from that plant chaff material. If you get them nice and dry, you don't really have to separate them from the chaff very well. You can just go ahead and store them like that. They're chia seeds. They don't have to be pretty. And you can go ahead and plant those. Basil seeds are pretty small and they take a minute to get going. So you're going to need to plant these about 1/4 inch deep and keep them moist so that they get started. They do like warm weather, but not too hot. They don't really like that midsummer, I found. Spring and fall tend to be when basil thrives. And if you're in a warm winter area, you can grow it all through the winter. So yeah, keep those seedlings moist. They're going to be a little slow to get going. And finally, once they get about this tall, they'll start growing a little bit faster. And so enjoy your basil for many harvests. And once it really starts to seed, then go ahead and harvest those seeds, dry them out, separate from the chaff, make sure that they're dry before you put them away, as always, so that they don't get moldy. All right, I think that basically covers it, or that basically, yeah, that worked. No, it did. That basically covers it. All right, that's how you only buy it once.